everyone, welcome back to another episode of my wedding diet, my wedding fitness. If you guys have not seen my channel before, I am a wedding photographer based in San Diego. I'm also the author of A Bride's Guide to a Picture Perfect Wedding, and recently I have been detailing the steps of my own wedding planning process, and most recently I've been discussing how I've been getting in shape for my wedding and my life in general. So if you guys have not seen my fitness and also my weight loss videos, I will link them down below. But today is going to be a little bit of an update about where my body fat is at. So I went back to have my body fat retested. The results were amazing, so I'm super happy about that. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about the foods that I eat, because I'm sure some of you might be wondering kind of what I eat in a day. So I'm going to be talking about those different products. I am vegetarian, so what I eat might be different from what you would want to eat if you eat meat or fish. I don't, so I'll be detailing what I do as a vegetarian, also to get enough protein to have a really well-balanced diet that does not make me miserable. So to kind of give you guys an update of where I'm at, I had taken my last body fat test when I talked to you guys last on May 11th, and my body fat percentage was 15.4%, which is pretty good, but I wanted to get a little bit leaner, cut away more body fat, and then after that, once I hit my goal, I would start focusing on building muscle, which is kind of where I'm at now. So I went back on June 13th, so pretty much a month later, and I have lost over 2% body fat. So I'm now at 13.1% body fat. Now for women, that's kind of like a really lean place to be. I wouldn't want to be much leaner than this. You can be, but if certain things start happening to your body and they're not good, then you kind of have to back off a little bit, get a little bit more fat. But for me, this has been working great. Everything's really healthy, so I'm really happy here for the most part. So now that I've hit my goal, I'm really going to be focusing on building muscle in the areas that I want more definition and bulk. So for me, that is my abs. I want firmer abs. I want stronger abs, so that especially when I'm working on wedding days, my back does not hurt as badly because I have a stronger core. I also want to build up my glutes as well as some of the muscles in my shoulders and my back. So those are the areas that I'm going to be focusing on. And if you're really wanting to build muscle in an area, it is easier to do when you are not dieting to lose weight. It's a little bit easier to do when you have extra calories. So I'll talk about that in a bit. But one thing I do want to mention is if there's a specific part of your body that you are wanting to build muscle in, you should be hitting that part of your body in the gym at least twice a week. And there are a lot of different reasons for that, and a lot of great YouTubers out there will explain the science behind it, or you can Google it. But basically, you want to be hitting the areas that you want to build at least twice a week. So for me, that is what I'm going to be doing. To tell you guys a little bit about what I'm kind of doing with my calories now, what I'm doing with my food. So when I was cutting, which is losing fat ideally, I was on about 1,350 calories a day. Now, depending on how much you weigh currently, how much muscle you have right now, how quickly you want to lose weight, there are so many different factors to determine the amount of calories that you want to be eating. So don't just take my number. I recommend going to get your body fat tested, talking to them, because it's so different. I'm a little bit on the shorter side. I'm already a little bit on the leaner side. I have like certain qualities of my muscle that give me that number, and also how much like activity I'm doing for each day and what I'm doing to exercise. So those caloric numbers for weight loss are very, very personalized. So what I might need, you might need higher, or you might need slightly lower. It all is very different depending on your body. But basically, when I was eating 1,350 calories a day in my cut, I was eating 30% of my calories as fat, 35% is protein, and 35% is carbs. So that's not like a super, super low carb amount, but it definitely was tricky. As a vegetarian, it is a little bit harder for me to go lower on my carbs because a lot of veggie meats and a lot of vegetables have carbs in them. So it is a little bit trickier for me. If you ate meat, it might not be as hard to do a little bit lower carb. That's another reason why I did not like the keto diet, because as a vegetarian, it was too hard to keep those carbs down and get the protein up. So basically, I was doing that for a while, and now that I've hit my goal, my body fat tester has kind of switched me around a little bit. So I'm now up to 1,500 calories, and I'm slowly gonna work my way up each week to 1,700. and then I'll sort of stay there. And that for my body is more of a maintenance mode and not a deficit in calories. So what that means is I will be maintaining that weight, but I will also have more calories to help me build more muscle. So for me, that's really important, but you can't just go from 1,350 to 1,700 in a week. Your body will kind of freak out. So it's best to kind of ease up slowly. So that's why I'm taking about a week or 2 weeks in 150 calorie increments to go back up. So now that I am at that goal, I'm pretty much at a place now where I'm doing 30% protein, 30% fat. So fat hasn't changed. Protein's actually gone down a little bit, and then my carbs have gone up to 40%, which I was so excited about because that means I get to have a little bit more pasta, and I'll actually talk about the kinds of pasta I eat in a bit. I also get to have a little bit of bread here and there. It just makes my life a little bit easier. I really like carbs, so I'm happy to have more. Carbs are very, very helpful in building muscle and a lot of different functions in your body, so they're not necessarily a bad thing. You just want to make sure you're not having too many based on what your goals are. So to talk about what I eat, again, I am a vegetarian. I do eat dairy, but not that much. So if I'm gonna have cereal, I'm having it with almond milk. You could also do soy milk or coconut milk, but I just prefer the taste of almond milk a lot better. It's just my personal preference. I really don't eat that much cheese. Pretty much mozzarella on my salad is, for the most part, the only bit of dairy I eat, but that's just because I'm not the biggest dairy person, so I'm not vegan, I'm just vegetarian. Now, my typical day, I am trying to get enough protein and enough carbs. I'm also trying to balance my carbs and my protein evenly throughout the day. So right now I'm eating about 5 to 6 times a day, so all of my calories are spread throughout those amount of meals, and basically what I aim for is to have about 20 grams of carbs with each meal, just about, give or take. But if I'm exercising, I will actually stack my carbs around my workout. So I will have the majority of my carbs before and after my workout. But every other day, I just try to balance them throughout the day. Kind of keeps my blood sugar at good levels. And I do similar things with protein. I try to make sure that I have protein balance throughout my day. So those are just two of kind of the foundational things that I do. Now, in terms of the foods that I eat, what I've been loving recently are pancake mixes by Flapjack. A lot of people love Kodiak cakes, but when I looked at the macros, which means protein, carbs, and fat, for the Flapjacks, they were a little bit better for what I was going after. So I've bought those. I really like them. I will link them down below. They have a couple different flavors. Sometimes I'll actually buy them from the website directly, or I'll do Amazon. But basically those have been really great for me. And instead of a syrup, what I actually will do is I will have my pancakes with a little bit of vanilla or cinnamon protein powder mixed with water. And I kind of get it to a good enough thickness that I like it. And that's kind of what I drizzle on top. So if I'm trying to be really healthy, that's what I'll go for. It gives me a lot of protein in those pancakes and not too bad of carbs. So I kind of like to have an even ratio of the two, or more protein than carbs, and this combo certainly does it for me. So I really like that. Now obviously it is not going to be as delicious as standard pancakes with your favorite maple syrup. I miss my syrups, but right now I'm just trying to get to a place where I'm having a healthier balance. Every now and then I might swap out for an actual maple syrup, but usually it's the protein powder. And one more breakfast thing that I've been really loving recently are steel cut oats mixed with a cinnamon protein powder. Now I usually will do a full serving of oatmeal, and then I will have half a serving of a protein powder, usually in cinnamon flavor, and I find that that gives it enough sweetness that I don't need to add sugar to it. I don't need to add anything extra. I just put in that protein powder. I actually love adding in hemp seeds to my oatmeal or to different meals that I have because it's really not very tasteful. It's more of a texture. So I can kind of add it into things like oatmeal where it's not very prevalent, and so I don't really taste it. It's just a texture. So that's a great way to add in fat to your diet if you're not eating a lot of dairy or a lot of meats, things that have a lot of fat in them normally. So that's another thing that I love to go to for my breakfast. Now, other things that I love as far as like a carby protein balance goes are either the No Foods pasta, or there's also a company that does like a lentil-based pasta. I think the brand is Tolerant. I will link all of this down below, everything that I've mentioned. Those pastas are good. They have a little bit less carbs than a standard pasta and usually a little bit less calories than an equivalent serving size. but what they have is way more protein. So I'm not always about having low carbs, I'm about having a better ratio of protein to carbs. So those pastas, if I'm really on like a pasta craving, that's a better choice for me than a standard pasta that has almost no protein. So it's just a better balance and I like it. I will also, to my pastas, add something like Morningstar crumbles. So it's just like a little extra protein kick in there. I like the texture of it, and then I'll just use like a marinara or tomato basil sauce. And a lot of times I will put extra basil in there. I love basil. I love all kinds of herbs and spices. So I'm always trying to have more flavor into my foods to make them more enjoyable. So if I'm having a really, really bad sweet tooth for the day, I will actually have Halo Top ice cream, which is a very lean ice cream, and it actually tastes pretty good. No, it's not as amazing as the real deal, but I have found through testing lots of different lean ice cream brands that Halo Top is the one that I find tastes the best. Now, also throughout the day, the other healthier things that I like to eat is I pretty much have a salad every single day. So I will have spinach or some sort of spring mix or something with more nutritious greens in it, and I will usually have some sort of like leaner dressing that I like. So I just came off of the Olive Garden dressing, which I did learn has high fructose corn syrup in it. So try not to eat too many things with that, but every now and then you have to just have something that you love the taste of just to make yourself happier. Now to my salads, I also normally add in cherry tomatoes as well as some mozzarella. So usually I'll have 2 servings of mozzarella. So that's about a 200 something calorie meal that's got a good balance of fat and protein in it. And it's something that for me is like a volume food. So it's got a lot of food going into my body. So it does last me quite a long amount of time as far as my hunger goes. Now for me personally, I am not the biggest fan of eggs. I just like have days where I love them, have days where I hate them. If you can get your hands on some egg whites, that's a really, really good low fat, high protein source of eggs that you can make an omelet with spinach, or just anything that you're wanting to go after. That's a great power meal for you. Now other meals that I love to eat throughout the day are usually some sort of veggie meat. So I love the brand, I think it's Quorn, it's Quorn, and they have these veggie chicken cutlets that I really like because they're easy to cook. I can put them in the skillet if I'm feeling like spending the time that day with a little bit of Kerrygold butter and some salt and pepper, and then mix it with whatever side dish I'm wanting to have. If I'm feeling really lazy, I'll just throw them in the microwave and that's okay. I try not to do that because it doesn't taste as good, but again, if I'm not feeling like dealing with the skillet that day in a couple of minutes, then I'll just pop it in the microwave. So I really love that item as a kind of entree dish. That for me gives me a lot of protein. The carbs aren't too bad in it either because there's a good balance. Now I also do like to make sure that I am throwing in some fruit in my diet if I'm not wanting to reach for Halo Top. So I'll usually have strawberries or plums. Those are my go-to. There are certain fruits that are worse when it comes to the amount of sugar and carbs in them, and some that are better. So you just have to look it up and make sure that you're balancing it in with your diet. I usually try not to eat fruit too late or sugars too late in the evening because it won't break down as easily because I'm not using them in exercise. I'm going straight to bed. So I try to kind of put my fruits and my sweets a little bit earlier in the evening. I'm typically eating dinner around 7 p.m., sometimes 6:30, and then kind of eating a full enough meal so that I'm not starving by the time I go to bed, which is usually pretty late. When it comes to foods on the go, I really, really love the Quest bars. Quest have great macros and they also have lower calories. So when I look at a lot of protein bars, I often see they're 300 calories or they have like 10 grams of protein, 25 carbs. For me, that is not what I want. I want a bar that has at least 20 grams of protein. The carbs can be 20 as well, just as long as they're equal or very close to each other. And I want the lowest calorie for those protein and carb ratios. So for me, Quest bars have been the best thing that I have found that hits the lowest amount of calories, but also the highest amount of protein and a good carb ratio to that. So I really love them. My favorite flavor is the s'mores bar at the moment. I also love the banana nut. I think the cookies and cream is really good. Amazon has variety packs. I will link them down below. But I hope you guys are enjoying these kind of food ideas. I know they're not meat-based. I don't eat meat. If I ate meat, I'm sure my life would probably be a little bit easier, but I haven't eaten meat in like 11 years, so I'm not really going to anytime soon. When it comes to like protein shakes on the go, I love the Premier protein chocolate shakes because they have 30 grams of protein in it and only a few grams of carbs, and it has 160 calories. So that's a very, very, very lean, high protein source of food for me. So if I'm not hitting my protein with whole foods throughout the day, I will supplement with that. Again, as a vegetarian, sometimes you have to just find places to get your protein and hit it so that you maintain your muscle and you do not lose muscle. But anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, please let me know if there's anything else that you would like to see related to my fitness routine or my diet. Definitely type them down below in the comments and I will try to do a future video. Have a great day.